Check 1, 2. All right, guys, if you could give us just a second, we are trying some new hardware. So what we're doing is working on hopefully improving the opportunity for our Sunday morning broadcast. So if you could give us just a minute, we're trying to make sure we've got some audio working and being able to possibly stream to a couple of platforms at one time. So if you can give us just a minute, get this going. While you're waiting, if you want to turn to the book of Proverbs, we'll be in chapter 18, Proverbs 18. Give us just another minute to get everything going. All right, if you could turn to Proverbs chapter 18, we, once again, just in case you're just now tuning in, we're trying to try some new hardware out and get things improved for our Sunday morning broadcast. So you'll be the guinea pigs tonight. There's a couple of things going on. If you are watching on the Facebook platform, this is off of an iPad, so that piece should be just like normal. But if you're watching on YouTube, then what you're seeing is the new hardware we're trying out. So if you want to text Ryan Boggs any feedback tonight and kind of let him know what's going on, we're up here in the sound booth, kind of tucked into a corner, so we know that this isn't ideal, but we're just trying to get things ready for Sunday morning. So tonight I will be brief, but we're going to spend just a minute in Proverbs 18, and we're going to be talking about tonight, what kind of friend are you? So if you will turn to Proverbs chapter 18 with me tonight, and we're going to look at just a few verses and spend just a few minutes together. I do challenge you to go back and read this. And one of the things that I was noticing for sure is with all of the things that have been going on since March and with everything that's going on with the racial tension in the country and the election coming up, what we're finding out is there's tons of people around that are choosing not to be friendly. And God's given us those opportunities each and every day to not only be able to be kind one to another, but also to check our reactions to how people are acting around us, what's coming out from the inside when we're squeezed. What really comes out is what's in there. So tonight will be the opportunity maybe to check yourself. I've been trying to do some of that in my own life, and there's been times and areas in my life lately where I've been squeezed, and honestly, there's times that I haven't liked what I've seen come out. So maybe you'll get that opportunity to do that tonight as we look at just a few verses. But if you look in Proverbs 18, if you look in verse 16 to begin with, the Word of God says this, "And a man's gift maketh room for him, and bringeth him before great men. He that is first to his own cause seemeth just, but his neighbor cometh and searcheth him. The like causeth contention to cease, and parteth between the mighty. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city. Their contentions are like the bars of a castle. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Whosoever findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtaineth favor of the Lord. The poor useth entreaties, but the rich answereth roughly. A man that hath friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother." So these are Proverbs. They're a collection of wise sayings from the time, and what you can do is walk through each of these, but we need to know that these collections were gathered together for a reason, and while there's a reason. Looking 17 for just a minute. It says, "A man's gift maketh room for him, and bringeth him before great men." We're living in a time where everybody's expected to be great. Everybody's expected to go to a 4-year college. Every kid's expected to do that and spend a ton of money and get the best job and do all these things. And I know we're right now in the middle of a crisis where a lot of that looks different, and unemployment's a little higher than it was for sure. But we can understand that that was the American dream and the American way. But maybe God's intention wasn't for all of us to, if you will, in this world, be great. If we look in verse 16, "A man's gift maketh room for him, and bringeth him before great men." So God's gifted all of us in different ways, and even those that aren't considered great in this world, God's gifted you in ways to put you in front of people that are considered great in this world. And I know maybe you know people that have met presidents or even been in front of local politicians or local leaders, and maybe they didn't hold those positions themselves, but they had the opportunity to step up in front of those people and be a part of a committee or a part of some kind of assembly to help those people, some kind of commission. And this is what the verse is talking about here. Verse 17, "He that is first in his own cause seemeth just, but his neighbor cometh and searcheth him." So what we find out in verse 17 is this, that we have this thing in our nation where we're always putting our family first, always putting our needs ahead of others. And when we think about the act of being friendly, that is the exact opposite of what Jesus was doing on this earth. When he stepped out of heaven, he left every way that he was taken care of. He became somebody that was a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. He became a man that was alone, and a man that had nowhere to live and nothing but the clothes on his back, and was ridiculed and made fun of. He spent time with people that nobody wanted to spend time with. And that is the opposite of putting yourself first. And I know that there's some level that we have to take care of ourselves. We should probably take care of ourselves, some of us better than we do, with exercise and eating right and those kind of things. But if you're always putting yourself first in life, then there's that thing you're missing called sacrifice. And that's exactly what Jesus came and did. He sacrificed everything so that we could have. And your neighbor knows that. Your people that are around you the closest, your literal neighbors, the people that are across the street watching you, the people that are in your home watching you, the people that are around you every day at work. These people, they know where you are on that, and they know if you're selfish. And you might not even know yourself that you're selfish. I want to challenge you. Go ask somebody that you can trust to be honest with you. Go ask that neighbor. Go ask that coworker that you've worked with for 20 years, and ask somebody that's going to be real with you how you line up with that. Ask them if you're selfish. One of the greatest gifts that I ever got, and this is actually somebody that visits our church from time to time now, told me when I was about 10 or 11 years old that I had a problem and that I was very conceited. And man, I tell you, it didn't sit very well at the time. The first thing I had to do was go look up and see what conceited meant. And then once I figured that out, I was like, man, am I that? And it took me a while to own that. But once I did, that helped me, and I never forgot it. So your neighbor knows, and that's what verse 17 is talking about. If you'll go down to verse 19, this is a tough verse for this day and time because we got to use a little discernment when we're talking about being friendly and friendship here. But verse 19 says, "A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle." Now, I know that we live in a time right now where everybody's offended at everything, and that's not what the verse is talking about. I know that there's tons of what some are calling snowflakes and cupcakes and buttercups and all these things they call them right now, but the reality is that we can, with our words, be offensive. We can, with our lifestyle, be offensive. We can, with our actions, be offensive. And sometimes it's easier to do that, to jump on the bandwagon and start tearing people down and to be sarcastic when there's no need for it.